Jeremy Corbyn is in Digbeth in Birmingham. He's launching a Labour Party manifesto pledge on care. NHS is at the heart, he believes, of this election campaign. Let's just hear what he has to say.
I want to see an NHS free at the point of use for everybody and efficient and available for everybody, not the stress and concern that's there for so many at the present time. There is a very stark choice in this election. The failure of the NHS and social care under the Tories is quite serious indeed. The NHS and social care system must be funded to deliver quality of care that the whole country needs and everybody needs and deserves. Elections are about a choice of the type of country you want to live in, and a choice about the kind of society we want to leave for our children who follow on. Those that founded the NHS and the whole principles behind the NHS had a vision of a world where we did care for each other, we did care for everybody, we didn't pass by on the other side. So I want to use the period up until June the 8th to set out a positive vision of the kind of society that we can live in. Post-Brexit vision of Britain, where this country works for them, for everybody, and for the equality of everybody in work. The foundation for all to build a fairer economy by investment in good jobs for the future and investment in good quality services for the future. We will radically reform the structure of our economy. To place the wealth of corporations above the wealth of people is wrong. I want the welfare of people to come first, and a taxation system that is fair and delivers for those that have suffered the most since 2008. In 50 days, the country will go to the polls. We will set out our vision and our policies as we've been doing over the past couple of weeks. This is what Labour has always done. We founded the National Health Service. We created the social security safety net that is there. We created the Open University. We developed the minimum wage. We've done so much on human rights and equality. A Labour government elected on June the 8th will build on that legacy, will build on that tradition. But above all, it will ensure that as a society, we recognise that those who care also work for the benefit of the whole of society. Those that deliver public services deliver those services for the good of the service, but also for the good of the economy and society as a whole. Our proposal to increase the carers allowance is our down payment on the kind of decency and justice we want in society. It's our way of looking for the future. It's our way of a social services and social security system that works for all. That's why I'm delighted that this event coincided with the start of our election campaign here in Birmingham. We're going to be here a lot. We're going to be all over the country giving that message out. One of hope, one of justice, one of social justice for all. I thank you all for the work you do as carers and support for carers. I thank you for the work you do working in the care enterprises and care industry. I want you to have decent, secure jobs and be properly paid. I want carers to be properly supported. But above all, I want a society where we value everyone, what they can give, what they can contribute, and what we can benefit from and learn from them. That's the kind of world we could live in. Let's go for it. Thank you very much.
So could people vote Labour in the knowledge that you could overturn Brexit if you want?
What we've said is we accept the results of the referendum. We recognise the result of the referendum. We've set down our negotiating points, which are about protecting the rights that we gained through European legislation and regulation, and above all, ensuring there is tariff-free access to a European market. Those are our negotiating points. I've reached out to Socialist Party leaders all across Europe, explained what our position is, and asked for their support in these negotiations. So we are very clear about what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that there is that tariff-free access. Otherwise, the damage to British manufacturing industry will be absolutely huge indeed, here in Birmingham as well as in other parts of the country.
By June the 8th, we're not going to know the outcome of those negotiations with the EU, so it is theoretically possible, isn't it, that the people would vote for you in the knowledge that you could block Brexit?
We are into the negotiations. We understand the importance of it. We absolutely understand the result of the referendum. This is about the kind of world and kind of society we want to create. But we are not threatening to create a tax haven on the shores of Europe. We want an economy that works for all, an efficient economy that works for all. We're not threatening Europe. We want to work with Europe when we're outside the European Union.
Ben Chapman from ITV News. Speaking to voters in Northfield this morning, a marginal constituency, lifelong Labour voters who say they won't vote Labour because of your leadership. Are you really the right man for this challenge?
I've been elected to lead this party, and I'm very proud to lead this party. I'm very proud of the democracy, the size and the strength of our party. And I simply say to everyone, our party is here to deliver that fair, decent and just society. That's what's brought people to the Labour Party in the first place. That's what sustained the party, and I invite all of them, come on board with us and see what we can do together to create that decency in Britain.
How do you convince them that you're capable of being the next Prime Minister?
We convince people by our message, we convince people by our determination, we convince people by our actions. And I tell you this, there's going to be a lot of people very convinced by June the 8th that a Tory government is not the answer to the problems of this country. It's a government.
Adrian Johnson, the Bearwood Chronicle. I want to ask, are you looking forward to putting forward your ideas about the Labour Party rather than just all this talk about your personality?
I'm putting forward the political ideas of our party, the proposals we have for this country, and politics is about democracy, it is about people coming from all kinds of different backgrounds, but coming together in a common endeavour of delivering social justice. That's what I'll be doing.
Sir, Mr. Corbyn from Sky News. If you can't command the support of your parliamentary party, how do you expect to run the country?
We're a party that is determined to go forward, determined to win this election, determined to bring about social justice in Britain. Look at our policies, look at the support we've gained on all opinion polls in the past 10 days for all of the policies we've put forward. You'll begin to see a big change as we go forward. Thank you.
Mr. Corbyn, Alex Matthews, Cases News Agency. Your initial statement didn't mention anything about Brexit. It seems you're trying to fight this more about this election more about social issues. How do you intend to try and bring people away from Brexit, which is the dominating talking point in politics?
Well, you've decided it's the dominant talking point. It is one of them, yes. Of course it's an issue. I've set out what our position is on that, but crucially, it's what a British government does to develop the British economy, to develop the services on which we all rely, to ensure our schools don't have to rely on parental collections in order to buy books, to ensure our hospitals aren't waiting hours and hours for A&E appointments because they're so overcrowded, because they're so underfunded. It's a question of where you put your priorities. I've made it clear what our priorities are in the negotiations with Europe. I've made it clear, equally as clear, what our priorities are on investment in the services that we need in this country.
Anybody else from the press?
Laura Chillerton from LBC. There's a huge turnout for the referendum. Do you feel that there'll be that similar turnout for this general election, or are you getting the feeling that people are fed up of elections, and how will you engage with them? Could you repeat it in quality for me without the mic? Okay, thank you.
Well, it's only 4 hours and 10 minutes since the election was announced, so I'm not quite sure how I can decide whether everyone's going to vote or not. But you're right. The turnout in the European referendum was the largest ever in British history, and the largest participation in the electoral process in British history. Obviously, I hope a general election has a similar turnout. It's a democratic choice. People laid down their lives to get us all the right to vote. I think we owe it to them, as well as we owe it to ourselves, to vote in the election, make the choice that we want. We're putting forward our case for how we think Britain could develop into a decent, fairer society.